All right, let's just dive right in, because today we are talking about something that is, well, it's a little bit of a mind bender. What if the apps you use every single day aren't just figuring out what you like, but are actually actively changing your tastes?
I mean, really think about that for a second. You know that playlist that Spotify cooks up for you, or the videos that TikTok just keeps feeding you? Are they just a mirror, showing you what you already enjoy? Or are they more like a mold, slowly shaping your tastes into something new? Maybe something that's just a little easier for them to predict.
So, how in the world does this even happen? Well, it's not some simple one-way street where you like a thing and the algorithm shows you more of it. Now, it's way more subtle than that. We're all kind of caught in this hidden feedback loop. Our actions are constantly training the algorithm, and in turn, its recommendations are constantly training us.
Now, to really get to the bottom of this, we've got to be clear on what we even mean by a preference. The paper we're digging into today defines it pretty broadly. It's basically any mental process that makes you like or dislike something. So that could be a very conscious choice, like picking a movie, or it could be a totally automatic reaction, like suddenly craving junk food.
And this is where it all gets a little fuzzy, right? Because we're in this constant back and forth. It becomes almost impossible to tell where you end and the algorithm begins. I mean, has Netflix just learned that you like sci-fi? Or has it actually taught you to prefer sci-fi by just showing it to you over and over and over again?
So that brings up the big question. Why would an algorithm even want to change you? Well, that gets us to what we can call the predictability problem. See, at its core, an algorithm's job is to guess what you're going to click on or watch or listen to next, and the better it gets at guessing, the more valuable it is. So what's the easiest way to get really, really good at predicting something? You make it simpler.
And look, you don't have to take my word for it. This quote from AI expert Stuart Russell lays it out perfectly. A recommender does its job better if it makes its users more predictable. Think about that. Its success is literally measured by how well it can pin you down. So if it can make your taste just a little narrower, a little more consistent, its prediction score goes up. It wins by making you less complex.
And you can see how this plays out in a really simple loop. Let's say you watch one video about, baking sourdough bread. The algorithm clocks that. Instantly, it starts showing you more sourdough videos. And you watch them, because, hey, you like the first one. But before you know it, your entire feed is just sourdough, your tastes have narrowed, and bam, you've become an incredibly predictable sourdough fan.
But hang on a second. Is having your tastes change always a bad thing? Of course not. We actively try to change our preferences all the time, right? We want to learn to like healthier food or get into a new genre of music or read more classic literature. So not every shift is some kind of manipulation. And that very distinction is why a lot of the early ideas for how to solve this problem just didn't work. You can't just build a wall to block all preference change, because that would be terrible. It would trap you. It would stop you from discovering that new band or that new hobby that you might end up absolutely loving. The real trick is figuring out how to tell the difference between a welcome change and an unwelcome one.
Okay, and this is where the paper introduces a really fascinating, kind of brilliant concept that's the key to this whole thing. It's called meta preferences. And probably the easiest way to wrap your head around them is to think about our guilty pleasures.
So what is a meta preference? It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a preference that you have about your other preferences. It's not just about what you like, it's about how you feel about the fact that you like it.
Let's break it down. Your preference might be that sudden, in-the-moment craving for greasy fast food. But your meta-preference is your stable, long-term desire to be the kind of person who eats healthy. See the difference? Preferences can change on a dime, but meta-preferences, they're much closer to our identity, to who we are and who we aspire to be.
Now, what's so cool is that this idea lets us map our really complex feelings into 4 clear categories. So if you enjoy watching documentaries and you feel good about that, that's a righteous pleasure. But if you secretly binge trashy reality TV and kind of wish you didn't, that's a guilty pleasure. On the other side, if you hate political corruption and you're proud of that fact, that's righteous hatred. And if you hate that you just can't get into classical music no matter how hard you try, that's a guilty hatred. It's such a smart way to map out our internal conflicts.
And this quote from the paper just nails it, doesn't it? That exact feeling of enjoying something while at the same time wishing you had better taste, that is the perfect example of a clash between your preference of the moment and your deeper meta-preference.
Okay, so we have this powerful idea. What do we do with it? How can we use it to fix this predictability problem? Well, the paper proposes a solution that's all about building systems that don't just respect our clicks, but respect our autonomy, our deeper values.
The big idea is called preference change consent. Now, just imagine for a second, what if before sending you down some weird rabbit hole, YouTube popped up a little warning that said, hey, just a heads up, watching a lot of this content might make you really into conspiracy theories. You cool with that? It's almost like a movie rating, but for your own personal development.
The goal here is actually pretty profound. It's about giving you, the user, the power to decide how you want to grow and change. It helps separate that welcome journey of discovering a new band from that unwelcome slide into becoming more predictable. It puts you back in the driver's seat. Now, of course, actually building a system that can do this is a huge challenge, but the principle is what matters.
But, and you knew there was going to be a but, right? The authors themselves bring up a really chilling possibility. If an algorithm is smart enough to figure out our preferences about our preferences, what's to stop it from learning how to change those too?
And that really is the final mind-bending question we're left with. If a system can change not only what we like, but how we feel about what we like, where does that leave our sense of self? It's a huge question about the future of our own minds in a world that is increasingly run by code. Thanks for tuning in.